Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is, will this cause the dollar to fall, i.e. to fail? So welcome to the Prophecy Club, another fun-filled adventure in the world of Bible prophecy. I do this because I love it, and because even if no one listened, I would still have to do it. Even if I was up in the mountains someplace and no one was around, I would probably have to go out and talk to the trees because it's in me. It just has to come out. But I need to tell you about something that happened this morning, which, by the way, I haven't even told my wife yet. I've been meaning to try to tell her. So, as I was waking up this morning, the Lord spoke to my heart. Now, I cannot say that it was an audible voice, but I had a conversation with the Lord. And I don't know if I heard words. God does not have to say words for us to hear him. And he spoke to my heart and he said, "You're about to be in financial difficulty." I've had that warning a couple of other times and I heeded it, and we were able to avoid some financial difficulty. There's also been some times where I heard that and the financial difficulty arrives. Now, I was thinking that it is more personal difficulty or, prophecy club difficulty or something like that. But then with the information I ran across today, which I'm about to present to you, now I wonder if it is national also. And if it's national, it bites all of us. Okay, I mean, like you've heard the people say, that when the water rises, all of the boats in the harbor go up. Well, and the other way around, when the water goes down, all of the boats in the harbor also go down. And we've been talking about this fall of the dollar. Well, I guess Shane Warren would be the one that we first got the information from. He had the vision back in 2010 that the dollar is going to fall, which really and truly is no secret. I mean, we ought to know and understand that's going to happen without some prophet telling us God spoke to him. But now I'm thinking it may be more than just personal or ministry. I think it may be national. And I could go in and probably do a whole program where God has spoken to me other times like this, and it proved out to be accurate. I mean, as you know, you folks have been following it for a while, I don't get on and say God spoke to me, but very seldom. I mean, maybe once every 5 years. He speaks to me more often than that, but as it pertains to you. But this time, it might pertain to you, and so since I'm a watchman, I feel it necessary to bring it to you. Now, with that in mind, now let's go to some of the articles. Now, I'm going to skip through this fast because I've covered it many times. July 10th, 2012, we had Pastor Shane Warren come to speak to Prophecy Club. Made a DVD, which you can watch instantly at watchprophecyclub.com. Essentially, he was told that the dollar is going to be blowing worthless as leaves in the wind. Now, the thing that starts it was when they began to sell oil in some other currency other than the dollar. Now, that's essentially what all of those words are saying. There's more details, and I highly recommend you pause and read all of that. I also highly recommend you pause and read this page too. But I've made my point because that's going to tie in. Then Chris Reed came along March 25th of 2022. I've covered this a lot of times, and I'm not going to cover all of this in detail because I've got more than I can possibly get to today. But essentially, he saw that the dollar will fall down 1/3, just as Dana Coverstone was shown in a dream. Then it'll go to 50%. Then Dana Coverstone was shown it would go down 66%. And then finally, it would be worthless, just like Shane Warren was told. So now here we come to today. No, this is not BlackRock. BlackRock is one of the biggest bad boys on the planet too. This is Blackstone, Wall Street's largest commercial real estate. Now, you may be saying, so commercial real estate, what does that have to do with me? Actually, a whole lot. I started to put my dream that God gave me back in 1999 about how the banking system would fall, and would fall because it would be based upon the houses, and that is real estate. So real estate has a whole lot to do with our financial strength in America. Wall Street's largest commercial real estate landlord, private equity firm Blackstone, has defaulted on a $562 million bond-backed portfolio of offices and stores. You can read the rest of it if you want to, but the point is, the big boys are now falling, and I'm about to show you some stuff that says they're not the only ones. Since the security is now matured and has not been repaid, loan servicer determined that the amount of the default has occurred and blah, blah, blah. You can go on to read it. Essentially, the big boys are falling. So if the big guys are falling, guess what's happening to the little guys? It's been said that when America sneezes, the rest of the world gets pneumonia. Well, when the big guys sneeze, that means the rest of the smaller ones, smaller people out there, get pneumonia. We're in a big financial jam. Again, you can read it. It'll tell you more about it. Blackstone is understandably trying to minimize the news, yet the firm clearly continues to scramble to stabilize the bleeding in its massive real estate portfolio. On Wednesday, it said that it had blocked investors from cashing out their investments. Okay, when someone has invested money in anything, and that investor prohibits them from getting their money back out, obviously they see a problem, they want to get their money back out before they lose it. That's a big problem. That ought to be signaling to us. I mean, I'm not a real big financial guy, and probably most of you watching aren't either. But even to us, people that are not big financial guys, this ought to be like a big ringing bell. This ought to be an emergency signal, a flashing red light, not a flashing yellow light, a flashing red light saying, we're in trouble. And I believe that's what the Lord spoke to me this morning. So they blocked investors from cashing out their investments on its $71 billion real estate income trust as the private equity firm continues to grapple with a flurry of redemption requests. They're scared. They're scared. They're in trouble. They're in trouble, and now it's hit the newspapers. There's more. $0. The United States Treasury had an auction today to sell Treasury bills, as they do on a pretty regular basis. And most of the time, the line is long to buy those Treasury bills because they say that the U.S. Treasury bills are the safest investment on the planet. Well, the problem is, for a 10-year period, these bills were offering 4.005% interest. I don't know if that's good or if that's bad, but I think that's real good for a 10-year Treasury bill. But our problem is, nobody showed up to buy them. Nobody wants to buy our debt. Okay, what does that mean? Again, I'm a prophecy student. I'm not a financial guy. But I've been around enough of the financial world enough to know I think the financial experts would say that means that our dollar is about to fall. And it may be that history will record today, as I'm recording this, 5:48 p.m., on, March the 2nd of 2023. This may be the day that history records as the beginning of the fall of the dollar. Now, I know other things have happened, but it's all of the underpinning. It's all of the foundations have been destroyed. But it may be that history will put the finger on the calendar and say today, March the 2nd, is the start of the fall of the dollar. There were no bidders. There's no one wanting our debt. Nobody on the entire planet offered to buy any Treasury bills. Nobody wants U.S. debt anymore, which means we got a problem. You remember the bills, the dollar bills were flowing worthless as leaves in the wind. Nobody wanted them. They all start coming home. That would cause the value of our dollar to drop quickly. One of the prophecies said, two of the prophecies said it happened overnight. One pulled in to get some money out of an ATM, got the money out, realized he didn't get enough, went to pull out some more, and just that quick, it had changed to where now instead of charging him like 50 cents to get it out, it was like $10 to pull it out. Another one said that it happened over the weekend. In other words, the fall of the dollar, according to the prophecies, 2 of them, happens almost instantly. Let's go on, there's more. Discover a credit card to start tracking gun purchases. Oh, well, Stan, what does it have to do with the fall of the dollar? Well, they want to get the guns out of the hands of the Americans because that's the thing that has kept them from already making slaves of us all. They want to know who has those guns. They've been wanting to know that for, 30, 40 years. Now they're getting, in this case, Visa and MasterCard agreeing to track gun sales. Why? Obviously, they want to knock on our door and take it away. Why? Because when the dollar falls, there's going to be rioting in the streets. Bankruptcies absolutely soar as Americans' absurd debt bubble begins to implode. This was written yesterday. Ever since the end of the Great Depression, Americans have been piling up debt at a staggering pace, and now that debt bubble is starting to implode. He may be more right than he realizes. There isn't really a precedent for this, and so we can't look back at past events in order to project what will happen next. But it should be obvious to all of us that things will soon start getting really bad in this country. It was only a matter of time before bankruptcies began to soar, and according to CBS News, that is precisely what is happening. The end of federal pandemic aid is putting many Americans, which, by the way, stopped March 1st, the pandemic aid. A lot of people just got their incomes reduced drastically. The end of the federal pandemic aid is putting many Americans and businesses under mounting financial pressure, leading to a spike in bankruptcies. Now, I started to bring this in here, but I didn't have time. But there's been thousands of people laid off all in the last 4 to 6 weeks from huge companies, like Amazon, Walmart, laying off lots and lots and lots of people. Now, are they trying to cause a financial difficulty? Or are they maybe not causing to it? Maybe they already know it's coming and they're just laying off ahead of time. Either one's still bad. Total bankruptcy filings in January shot up 19%. In January, up to 31,087 and up 19% from a year ago, according to the data from EPIG, a large research firm. The number of Americans who filed bankruptcy across chapters 7, 11, 13 shot up 20% in January from a year ago. I am particularly concerned, he says, about the number of large companies. There it is again. The big boys are falling. Large companies that are now being forced into bankruptcy. According to Zero Hedge, large companies are filing for bankruptcy at the fastest pace that we have seen since the days of the Great Depression. The spike in defaults was not a fluke, and according to Bloomberg, 1 month later, as of the end of February, no less than 39 companies have filed for bankruptcy in the U.S. so far this year. That's the big guys. If the big guys sneeze, the small guys are dying, okay? This is pneumonia. As February's pace matches that of January, the year-to-date total represents the fastest pace of companies filing for bankruptcy since the immediate aftermath of the global financial crisis in 2009. As I keep warning, one sector to keep a very close eye on is commercial real estate. In September 2021, PIMCO acquired Columbia Property Trust, Inc. in a blockbuster multi-billion-dollar deal. In September that year, Pacific Investment Company said it was acquiring Columbia Property Trust, which owned 19 offices in New York City, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., and other cities. The deal valued Columbia at $3.9 billion. But now, here we are less than 2 years later, at Columbia is failing. In fact, it just defaulted on more than $1.7 billion of debt backed by 7 of its buildings. Columbia has now defaulted on more than $1.7 billion debt backed by 7 of its buildings, according to people familiar with the matter, which makes it one of the biggest office defaults during the pandemic period. Let me refresh your memory. I'm not saying this to try to scare you. I'm saying this. 2 Chronicles 20:20 says, believe God's prophets and so shall you prosper. You want to know how you prosper in the bad times? It's easy to prosper in the good times. Want to know how to prosper in the bad times? Bingo. Listen to God's prophets. I need to update this, but I think these numbers are too low. But I'm going to say I've counted them up. We have 11 different prophecies that say that the dollar is going to fall. And I'm pretty sure these people didn't get together, since I don't even think they know each other. And they didn't say, hey, let's tell Stan we got a dream that there's going to be a fall of the dollar. And for that, may I suggest you call cornerstoneassetmetals.com. You don't have to call them and buy anything. Call them and set an account. Start talking. Get their opinion. They'll give you advice. They're good Christians, good people, good prophecy students. Promo code Prophecy Club. Then we have 14 different prophecies saying there's going to be a food shortage. Are you listening? Food shortage. I mean, people that don't know each other seeing dreams or visions of shelves empty in Walmart, one of them. For that, let me send you to josephskitchen.com, where most of your long-term storage food costs you $10,000 one person 1 year. They can do it for about $1,000 a person. I don't think anybody can match that. We have 17 prophecies saying there's going to be a meteor that causes a tsunami and an earthquake. Once again, for that, josephkitchen.com. Now, the count, by the way, the count's really not 17. It's actually up to 30. I got to update my charts. Then we don't have 32 suitcase nukes. Now it's 33 suitcase nukes. And for that, if you still want your computers, your refrigerators, your house and things like that to work, go to empshield.com. Put in the promo code Prophecy, get you a $50 discount, and it helps your Prophecy Club. We have 7 that says the Russians are going to attack in a surprise nuclear attack. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com is the place I'll send you. Now let's back to our news. Bank of Mexico. Now, I covered this a month ago. Bank of America should discuss decoupling from U.S. Fed. So Mexico is in the process of decoupling or dropping the dollar. Now, if that was the only issue, that's already huge. But that's not the only nation. There's more. This is back in February. Iran announces CPAM system. Well, right now we are under the SWIFT system. That's what we are. We're the SWIFT system right now. And this new CPAC or a CPAM system is connecting Russia and Iran and banks in 13 other countries. Why? They're dropping the dollar. The dollar is going to be worthless. Are you listening? And by the way, I'd suggest you have at least a handful of gold and a handful of silver. You need to have something so when you pull up and you need food or gas or maybe a ride out of the country or a ride out of your city, you got something to barter with. Think about it. Just to ask God to show you what you need to get prepared. He'll tell you. Warning, shot fired. Now, this is back in January. Federal Reserve, in cooperation with giant global banks, has launched a 12-week pilot project to test the message systems and payment processes on the new CBDC, or Central Bank Digital Currency. Remember, I've been telling you, the cell phone is going to be what you are going to be buying things with. I'm telling you, cell phone is not your friend. It's going to be the new digital currency. And with this, just to condense what this is saying, it's saying that with this, they can turn off your money. If they don't want you buying gas, your digital money will not buy gas. If they want you to turn in your guns because you purchase guns, they know you have them. And if you don't turn them in, they simply turn your finances off. If you don't go in to get the mark of the beast, they simply, he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark on the right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Let's go on. Death of the dollar. I read this, I think it was back in December. Byron Surley. 3 days ago on October 5th, 2022, the Lord gave me 3 quick flash visions, one after another, of a knife, a dollar bill, and a nuclear blast. Now, in my opinion, if the tribulation did start in 2022, as Vicky Parnell and as Terry Bennett and as Byron Surley all say, it would have started on the Day of Atonement, which was August the 6th, as I recall. So this is October 5th. During prayer, I saw the vision of a dollar bill in more detail and received the word of interpretation as follows. I saw a dollar bill lying on the ground. It was face up. I could see George Washington's head. Then I saw what looked like a tiny point of laser beam or pinpoint of sunlight through a magnifying glass begin moving along the edges of the ends of the dollar bill. As I watched, both ends caught on fire, and the fire burned in front from both sides of the dollar and began to move in slowly towards the middle. That's sort of what the other three, Shane Warren and Maurice Sklar, so he saw the dollar fall 30%. The fire then started to move a little faster and was getting closer to Washington's face. Here's the question. What happens if this right here just started today, March 2, 2023? What happens if it all started today? Might have. The fire then started to move a little faster and was getting closer to Washington's face when suddenly a huge rock fell down and crushed the dollar. Now, I don't know if that's the meteor hitting. It may be. Or if it may be just simply saying that the dollar just goes ahead and falls, boom, just very quickly. All that was left remaining that there was a rock and the smoke that was coming out of the underneath it. The vision ended, and the Lord spoke this word to me. My son, what you saw was the death of the dollar. Could it be that history is going to record the death of the dollar started March 2, 2023? Right now it's slowly burning on both ends, soon, very soon. As quickly as a huge rock fell on it and crushed it, the dollar will crash. It will burn to 30%. Men will try to prop it up, but to no avail. Then it will continue to burn to 50% of value. That's the same thing Maurice Sklar and Shane Warren, Dana Coverstone. I mean, believe God's prophets. Believe them. 30%, then it'll try to prop it up to no avail. Then it'll continue to burn to 50%. Men will panic, unable to stop the fire. Then a huge collapse will occur when my rock makes a visit. Now, is that the start? Remember, the Lord told me as the judgment hit, so will my miracles. Is that the miracles? Is that a meteor? Or is that simply all of a sudden the dollar just dies and it's worthless? I don't know. My son, this event will happen very quickly. All banks will be closed. All ATMs will be down. No one will have access to their money. At that point, my brothers and sisters, you best have gone to Joseph's Kitchen and get yourself some food. You best have called to cornerstoneassetmetals.com and get yourself some gold and silver. And by the way, you might ought to have gone to solarsurge.net, not com, solarsurge.net, and see what he can do to help you get some electricity. This is when evil men will bring about new money, cashless, the digital currency, one that cannot be held. It's right here. It's in your cell phone. All men will be given an account with this money in the bank. This is the beginning of the beast system. Soon men will need to have a number and a mark to be able to access their money, just like Revelation 13:15 said. I covered this back in December, but it brings a point. China confirms they are the mystery nation that just bought massive gold. Why would China be buying massive amounts of gold? You see this green thing out here, okay? This is the normal gold sales. All of a sudden, China starts buying massive amounts of gold. Why? Because they know that the current financial system is about to die. They know that the dollar is about to die, and they're probably about to bring in a petro-yuan. Saudi Arabia is in the process of getting ready to sell oil only in yuan. That'll kill the dollar. That's what raised the dollar up, and it's what will push the dollar down. A mystery buyer just bought 300 tons of gold, roughly 3/4 of the record 399 tons, of central bank gold purchases in the third quarter. Why? You think China knows something? You think somebody can buy 300 tons of gold? You think they're making a mistake? I don't think so. I think they know what they're doing. I think what I heard this morning is definitely for me personally. For Prophecy Club, he's saying that there's about to be financial difficulty. But in light of everything, I don't think it's just Stan and Leslie. I don't think it's just Prophecy Club. I think it's you. I think it's America. And it might be the whole world. It may be that we've run out of time. God has given us delay after delay after delay, and it may be maybe we've run out of time. Speaking of that, you can be a part of the solution or part of the problem. But if you'd like to be a part of the solution, may I suggest you go to prophecyclub.com, slide to the bottom, and join our Fast Gap team. We fast and we pray for America every week. We have about 750 some odd people that have joined that. And if you want to see Prophecy Club reach souls in sports stadiums and thousands upon thousands of people, if you'd also like to pray for Prophecy Club, there's also a place where you can join our Fast Track team. Same fast, different prayer. Each prayer takes about a minute to pray, and we fast from Tuesday midnight until Wednesday afternoon the next day at 4 p.m. You can quit anytime you want to, and my promise is I never ask for donations and I never send product offers. This is only for people that want to fast and pray for either Prophecy Club or for America. Prophecyclub.com. And by the way, while you're there, we got some good books, and you might ought to thinking about getting yourself a Berkey water filter. Matter of fact, we just placed a big order yesterday. So here in the next day or so, we're going to be back up to full stock. And I think that we're one of the few suppliers that still has Berkey water filters around. So prophecyclub.com. It'll help our ministry, and it'll help you too. Welcome to the Prophecy Club today, but I want to show you my emergency food plan, my survival plan. In other words, when society breaks down, what is my plan to be able to feed myself and my family and, quite frankly, the neighborhood too. So this is Joseph Kitchen wheat. This is a grinder. This is some of the wheat, and this is the bread machine that makes the bread, and I'm going to show you how I do it. It's very simple. First of all, I turn on the grinder. I let it spin up. I take 1, 2, 3 scoops of red. The red tastes better, but it doesn't have enough protein to make the bread rise. So you have to put in a scoop of white. So that's 3 scoops of red, 1 scoop of white. The white is for protein. If you make 4 scoops of the white, then all you come up with is kind of like store-bought bread. You don't want that. You want to have good tasting bread. Give it a second. Let it finish grinding them. Then I'm going to put the wheat in this. And this is a list of the ingredients, honey, yeast, and things like that. All of this is in a video on Joseph Kitchen to show you how to go about doing this. Let it spin up like that. Shut it down. Let it spin down or you'll get white powder blowing every place. Again, we have videos at josephkitchen.com to show you how to do everything. And I know how to make spaghetti, I know how to make rice, but I am not a cook. But I have made somewhere between 150 and 180 loaves, and this is a loaf that I made several days ago. As a matter of fact, I had one of these slices right here. Had one of these slices, fast cat-like reflexes. I had one of these slices this morning for bread, or for breakfast. Now, what I did was break it in two, because if you put it in the toasters, too much of it sticks up. So I'll break it in two like that, put one side, the other side in the toaster so I can toast the whole thing. Okay, so now we've got wheat flour. So this is whole wheat flour. So now we pour it in our bread machine. I'm a tightwad, so I get every little drop. So you tightwads will appreciate. Then I put in these ingredients, which is the oil, the eggs, the water, the honey, and things like that. Now I have a thermometer up here, and it's currently reading 90 degrees. Well, it read 100 degrees when I brought it in here, but I like it to hit 100 degrees because the yeast needs so much heat to work. Actually, I would normally pour this in first, but that's what I'll do today. Then we put in the yeast, and then we put it in here like this. I'll put in the yeast later. Put it in here, close this, push a button, show you how to program all of that. So essentially what you want to do is get a mechanical package, which is the grinder, the bread machine. We send you beakers, we send you a thermometer, we send you everything you need to make your home bread. Then you decide how much food you want. Do you want food for 6 people 1 year, 4 people 1 year, 2 people 1 year, or just 1 person 1 year? Joseph Kitchen wheat doesn't come in a bag that can break, or mice or rats eat it, or it can just get too much moisture, and it has an expiration date on the bag of 1 year. But Joseph Kitchen, you get them coming to you in a 7-gallon pail. It's also available in smaller pails too. Anyway, but it's nitrogen infused. Means that they run a copper rod down to the bottom. They flush out the moisture and the oxygen. We can't say exactly how long it lasts, but probably in the ballpark of like 25 years. It doesn't need refrigeration or anything. So go to josephkitchen.com and get you a 6-for-1, 4-for-1, 2-for-1, or food for 1 person 1 year. Because most of your emergency food, your long-term storage food, survival food, whatever you want to call it, costs between $9,000 to $10,000 to feed 1 person for 1 year. I'll say it again, $9,000 to $10,000 to feed 1 person for 1 year. At Joseph Kitchen, you can do it using wheat, which is what fed the world for 7 years during the days of Joseph and the Pharaoh, for about $1,000 per person per year. So you don't want to spend $9,000 to $10,000 to feed 1 person for a year, or $1,000 to feed 1 person for a year at josephskitchen.com. I'm going to make me a loaf of bread. It is now time to take out the bread. This is the bread that we all just watched being made. I'm going to tip it over here, and it comes out. Now, I wanted to show you the difference between the old bread slicer that was my bread slicer. This is the one that we first started out with Joseph Kitchen. But there's a problem. As you can see, when I go to cut it, it sticks up above these. So we had a new bread slicer made. We specifically had it made to our specifications so that it would be below there. Now the bread kind of overflowed a little bit, so I've got to cut it off. I mean, this is the life of making bread. Sometimes it doesn't always turn out exactly right. So we have a little bit of overflow. That's still great bread, and I still love it. Okay, so now we stick it down in there. Just push it up like this. And I can go in. Now because it's taller, I want that to be right up against there. There. I made about 150 to 180 loaves. Okay, so now I can cut down here right on these lines. As you can see, it cuts right into place. There's another difference too. I should probably point that out. This has wood at the bottom, which dulls your knife. This one has cutting material, you know, like plastic, what do they call it, cutting board, so it doesn't dull your knife. And I can cut through this really quick, as opposed to that one, because it cuts right down where I want to go. Another difference is this one only has, see it has, how do I explain this? These are different guides that you can put in. There's three different guides. There's this thin, this is the medium, and then this is the thick. Whereas this only had like medium, and then down here it turns thin. Whereas ours, you can have your loaf thin or thick, or what I'm using here today is just the regular loaf size. And so I can cut this through real easy. It didn't take me long to cut down a loaf at all. And this loaf is hot. As a matter of fact, as soon as I'm done recording, I'm salivating because it smells so good. I'm going to go in there and get me some butter, and I'm probably going to splurge and have 2 slices. So there you go. The bread that we just made together is now steaming hot in slices. You can't buy this in the store. As far as I know, I don't know a place you can buy it. You can only make this at home. Go to josephskitchen.com, get yourself a machine package, and then get yourself enough wheat and supplies to feed your family. josephskitchen.com. josephskitchen.com. Promo code Prophecy Club. Leslie Johnson had a prophecy back in 2011. She says, the Lord says there's going to be something put into the water supply in many cities of the nation. People will begin to get sick, some will die. Get a good, reliable water filter. You will not be able to trust the tap water or the bottled water. You must get something to filter the water you are going to need. That's back in 2011. So if you want it, we suggest you go to prophecyclub.com. You click right here where it says Berkeys. This is what it looks like. Currently, all Berkeys are in stock. The one I have is this guy right here. It's the Crown. It has 8 filters. I recommend you get as much as you can afford, and also recommend you get some extra filters. That's at prophecyclub.com. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com is where I'll send you if you're thinking about getting gold or silver. I think everybody should have at least a fistful of gold and a fistful of silver, because there could be a time when you pull up to get gasoline, and they might not want to take your loaf of bread, but you pull out a gold coin or a silver coin, and you're probably able to get anything you want, even if the credit cards are down, even if the dollars are worthless. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com.